Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Coming up, 19 times world champion George Digweed talks shooting while fishing in the rain. Team Wild is airgunning pigeons, rabbits, crows, well, anything within range really. They're giving guns to kids in Gloucestershire. The school's challenge is in full flow, embracing all that's good in our sport. We're here in Namibia, but that's for a later date. First, it's Test Splat Special. This week we leave the air rifle and 243 behind and play with a shotgun loaded with some clay shooting 7.5s. First up is a small leather football that's lost its puff. We're standing about 20 metres away from the target and the shot sends the ball flying. Little do we realise that peppering the ball with shot has added benefits. It now has a new life as a novelty musical instrument. No real splat action from the football, so let's try an onion. The onion takes the full force of the cartridge and disintegrates. So how far has this vegetable flown? Is it A, 6 metres, B, 7 metres, or C, 8 metres? Well done those who chose 6 metres. Nothing proved, nothing gained. Next week we really will be giving you normal ammunition. We do like a bang, and Team Wild, they do like an air rifle. Ian and Steve are out with their pellet pushers after just about anything.
Sometimes the best sport is on your doorstep. Steve and I live just a few minutes' drive from each other, and behind his butcher shop is some ground which often produces plenty of possibilities.
Well, these are really old oak trees, line of oak trees, and the jackdaws are starting to nest inside them and around them and everything else. So there's a lot of activity. They're flitting from one tree to the next, here, there and everywhere. So it's just a case of finding a nice little spot and sitting down and being patient. And we should be able to knock a few off.
We can still hear a few up in the trees here, and I can hear a couple of crows as well, so there should be plenty. And there's some wood pigeons.
Yeah.
Pretty much a mixed bag today.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
We're both using air rifles today. Steve has a sub 12 foot-pound Daystate Huntsman, and I've got a 30 foot-pound Daystate Mark IV IS, which means I can be confident in having a stab at a squirrel which crosses our path.
So Steve's just seen a squirrel in that tree over there. Now it's roughly about 25-26 yards. But I'm shooting a Daystate Mark IV IS and it's a 30 foot-pound version. So it's a pretty straight shot from the muzzle right out to about 35-40 yards before it starts to drop off. So ranges when you're shooting an FAC air rifle aren't as critical as a sub 12 foot-pound one, such as the one that Steve's shooting here. So I'm at a bit of an advantage.
With the squirrel keeping a low profile, we turn our attention to the bigger parcel of woodland. Wood pigeon and crows are possible targets. We settle down and wait for the birds to return to nests or just stop for a breather. Even with their fantastic eyesight, I'm hoping we'll be invisible tucked in next to the tree. We spend a good hour preparing to hijack any unsuspecting crows, but my best opportunity appears as we head back to the car. The wood pigeon is a fair old distance away. I kneel for the shot.
Watch the lad. 60 odd yards, but that's a difference shooting a 30 foot-pound gun to shooting a 12 foot-pound gun. You just got that little bit extra range. He didn't know it hit him.
With something to show for our patience, we head off to some new ground where we hope to go rabbiting with a night sight later on. The Klondike is a place dedicated to keeping all things steam-powered alive. The trouble is, the rabbits are undermining the foundations under some of these heavy bits of machinery.
There's plenty of rabbits around here. As you can see, they've put down a lot of stone here to support the heavy weight of these engines. And the rabbits are burrowing underneath the edges, which means that where they store them is starting to break away. So we're going to come around now, see if there's any out, but see where most damage and most sign is. And then we'll come back a little bit later on tonight when they come out at dusk and see if we can pick a few off for them. We've been instructed that we've got to leave them here so they can have them for the pot as well.
Nothing so bold enough to show itself in daylight, so we're going to have to wait until we lose the light. We promise the engineers we'll leave them what we shoot, And in the meantime, we keep things close to home and have a look round Steve's back garden.
Another one bites the dust.
We managed to bag another couple of birds and give some a scare. Darkness brings with it a whole range of possibilities, especially with a night sight. We can now return to the Klondike and see what's about.
So we had a pretty good show out at last knockings and shot 4 birds as they came into roost. 1, 2, 3 that we got, that I shot, and then 1 that's kind of still flapping around that Steve's got. So now we've come back to the Klondike, where we showed you a little bit earlier on. We're going to nip down and see if we can knock some of those rabbits over that have been undermining the edge of the parking areas.
A scan around the main site shows up nothing in between the bits of cherished machinery. What we need to see is what's next to the bank. Thankfully, there are eyes everywhere. There's even a meandering hedgehog. I line up the crosshairs and the Daystate knocks down a rabbit or 2, which we hope will keep the guys here happy.
That's a good sized rabbit. Right then, I've done my job. Your turn to do yours.
What?
Well, I shot it. You can dress it out. We promised we'd leave one for the pot.
Same old story.
But he's a professional, and it means there's a good chance we'll be invited back. For more information about the Daystate Huntsman and Daystate Mark IV IS air rifles, visit daystate.com.
Now another rabbit in the proverbial headlamp. It's David on the Fieldsports Channel News, well not Stump, sort of hammocky thing.
This is Fieldsports Britain News. We're just months away from the London Olympics 2012 and Team GB's and Fieldsports Channel regular Abby Burton has just won gold in the World Cup in the women's trap in Lonato. Great Britain's Burton and Spain's Fatima Galvez fought for the top place from the first to the last shot in a neck-and-neck race.
I remember in 2007 or 6, I think it was, we had a shoot-off for the gold medal at the World Championship. So even though she's my friend, I was still definitely determined to try and not lose to her again.
The Countryside Alliance has been defending shooting from an attack by the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust. The conservation charity is launching a campaign calling for a nationwide ban on lead shot, including a ban on the shot used in game shooting. Tim Bonner of the Countryside Alliance says this is a blatant attack on shooting and that it would create a health scare that could affect hundreds of rural jobs. And finally, we have a couple of fox stories for you. The first is from Australia and Martin Smith, who apologises for not measuring the big one on the right, but he didn't realise that no fox shooter worth his salt leaves home these days without some scales, camera and a tape measure. And here's another white one. Deer manager Craig Martin is pictured with this impressive looking animal. Craig says it doesn't have red eyes, so it must have been leucistic. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Britain News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. Standards are slipping. Now it's back to a rain-soaked Blighty and Georgie Almighty. We talked to 19 times world champion George Digweed about designing clay shoots, the accident that nearly stopped his career before it started, and of course, a bit of fishing. George Digweed is a champion and a countryman. We've done as many films about him pigeon shooting, foxing or crow shooting as we have about him winning clay competitions. Today he's taking us trout fishing. The weather is appalling, but with his busy schedule we catch up with the biggest name in shooting when we can.
I haven't fished probably since the middle of last year, and then when I fished in the middle of last year it was on a river system, so it's a very different scenario to the one that I'm used to trying today. but we will give it a go. One thing's for sure, I'm not one of these purist fishermen that has to fish in a certain way. I attempt to catch rather than to be the most pure fisherman there's ever been on the planet.
You need to have a few nibbles then.
You don't get to this size without having a few nibbles, I can tell you.
As George is fishing in pretty horrible conditions, we ask him about the worst conditions he's ever had to compete in.
I think probably the worst conditions I've ever shot in were at the World Championships last year in France. We shot the third afternoon, and we were the last people to go out, and it started raining, and it just went from bad to worse than that, to probably, well, you couldn't comprehend the conditions we shot in. The water was literally, we had full waterproof clothing on, and the water was just running out of the bottom of your trousers. It was just horrendous. Anybody that was in it will tell you, and there was a lot of people in it at that time because there was 8 rotations going on. It was just the worst 3 hours you could ever imagine.
So for any clay competitors out there, make sure that if you're competing against George, the weather is cold and damp. And what was nearly a real damper on George's career was the injury he sustained from his family's butchery business.
I have a bit of a problem when I'm fishing. Years ago, I don't know whether you can see that, years ago in the butcher's shop I cut all the tendons off to my wrist. You can see the scar there. There's a big, where they joined it there. And on a cold day like today, I tend to lose the feeling in that hand, and makes it difficult to control the fly line. At least that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Doesn't it inhibit your shooting then?
On a cold day I can certainly feel it, but I just use my right arm a bit more. Perhaps I shouldn't have said that.
The wind is playing havoc with his tackle, so why has he gone for this particular fly?
In these conditions, you know, it's quite dark, it's a horrible day. I mean, we shouldn't really be out. We should be sitting indoors having a glass of red wine, watching the cricket on TV really, but it's quite a light fly for dark conditions, so I think they'll see it. We've had a lot of rain here over the last 2 or 3 days here, hence the water's quite cloudy and quite dirty. I just think that something that they might be able to see a little bit clearer possibly might work. But I mean, who knows, and I don't do enough fishing to understand it by any means.
Before we head back for a well-deserved glass of red, we ask him about the new direction his career is taking him. Like so many professional golfers, George is going to start designing competition clay layouts.
It's a new challenge for this year, which I'm quite looking forward to actually. I'm going to try and design it with a Europe, you know, not only British but European feel to it. We tend to shoot longer, faster targets in the UK, and we tend to shoot a lot of more edge-on targets in Europe. And also I'm going to try and perhaps add a little bit of flair to it, which you know, which would be quite nice. A couple of designs that you know, haven't been done very much before, and a bit of presentation, and hopefully you know, hopefully we should have a good shoot. It's you know, it's open to all as long as you remember the CPSA, so it'd be nice to fill out the event and get everybody down there and create a nice atmosphere.
That's quite enough trout fishing for one day. There were 2 very strong nibbles, but proof at last that George can't win them all. The next time we catch up with George, let's hope the weather will be kinder. So we leave the final word to the man to endorse today's excursion.
Anybody that says trout fishing's idyllic needs their brains tested.
Oh well. Well, George started shooting in childhood. Here are a few more children starting shooting. It's the Schools Challenge. It's all things bright and beautiful at Bredon School on the Sunday morning of the Bredon Fete Shooting Festival and second Schools Challenge event of 2012. However, vicars all over the country were telling their parishioners that morning that, due to the widespread flooding, we will omit the verse about soft, refreshing rain. Happily, nothing stops the Schools Challenge. Because of flooding on the course, organisers the Oxford Gun Company have moved the traps to the front of the imposing school mansion.
We have actually, as you can see from last year, we're in front of the main house, which actually makes a much better backdrop. Because we had, unfortunately, as you've seen all over the news, we've had River Severn floods in Tewkesbury, and the school shooting grounds was about 10 foot underwater. So you can't really do underwater shooting, I think.
David's dad, Doug, feels they've really pulled a rabbit out of the hat. Or is that a rabbit out of the trap?
Bredon School have always supported the Schools Challenge. They didn't want a campsite to upset the children. They allowed us to move off the floodplain up to here and put it all around the house. And as you can see, it's a fabulous venue. So all we can do is thank Bredon School for being as accommodation as they can.
Once the kids turn up, the competition proper gets underway. Taylor Hedgecock from Soham in Cambridgeshire is a frequent past winner.
It's been good. Yeah, it's been an enjoyable shoot and I've really liked it, yeah.
How was your sporting shoot?
It was good, yeah, I dropped 2, so that was alright.
And we just saw you on the Rabbit Mania there. How did you do there?
I dropped 2 on there, so that's alright.
Taylor has high hopes for the competition and is undoubtedly a shooting star of tomorrow. There is homegrown talent here. Megan Bates and brother Oscar Bates are shooting for Bredon School.
I'm shooting well, I'm shooting high 30s at the moment. And I shot 42 the other day at Oxford, so getting better slowly.
Oh, it's just been a lovely atmosphere. I mean, the weather's lovely and it's just been really nice. It's not windy like typical Bredon School, but it's been nice.
The Schools Challenge is not just a clay competition. It's a festival of shooting and there are tryout stands for all kinds of shooting sports. Airgunning is a fairground attraction. The Bredon Fete also has black powder shooting where visitors fire round balls from muskets. To do this they use traditional gunpowder of the kind that saw action in the English Civil War. A lot of the bang has gone out of modern shooting. Sponsors make this event happen.
Under the shooting actually I think it's been probably the highest so far. We've got some seriously high scores coming up, but the weather's good, everyone's enjoying themselves, it's good. We've also got a lot of new schools and individuals, which is good. I mean, we've got a couple of new state schools that have just come into it. We've got a couple of new sponsors. We've got BSA, we've got CPSA, they've come on board this year. So yeah, it's all good at the moment. At
last it's the prize giving and senior boys individual prize does indeed go to Taylor Hedgecock of Soham Village College. Warwickshire College does well, it wins senior boys team and the senior girls individual. Hayley Wood is from Warwickshire College. And does Taylor win the Browning Rabbit Mania? No he doesn't, it's Will Allen. From the Schools Challenge, the future of our sport, to Hunting YouTube, our weekly roundup of the here and now. It's Hunting YouTube, showing the best hunting, shooting and fishing videos that YouTube has to offer this week. One of you has made a tribute film to Fieldsports channel. We are so touched. Country Pursuits TV was upset when I got a kicking on the Channel 4 programme Urban Foxes Live. He has produced this.
For everything that's been going on the last week with that silly programme on Channel 4, this one is for you, Charlie Jacoby.
Another viewer called Stuart suggests this new film from Yorkshire Roast Talking called Another Brace of Bucks. Stuart calls it nice footage of foxes and roebucks, and he's right. James Marchington filmed this young lady and her pals ratting more than a year ago, but has only just found the time to put the film together. It is worth the wait. This little girl is a YouTube star in the making. The Prince of Wales makes a speech about sustainable fishing on the Royal Channel, Buckingham Palace's very own YouTube channel, a subject close to fishers' hearts, and the royals have always liked subjects. It is wonderful to have royal backing for an angling issue, but what awful filming! It looks like it was shot on Her Majesty's iPhone.
For example, I am particularly encouraged to hear the cod stocks in the North Sea have shown signs of recovery from what was, only a decade ago, a much depleted fishery.
Well, this doesn't happen every day. While filming a segment for its fishing show Tales from the Outdoors show for US TV, B. Polikoff captured this amazing footage of a 40-pound barracuda jumping into the boat. That's not the only foreign film to catch our eye this week. BP Hunting Vids is warthog hunting with a 50 caliber muzzle loader and shoots one at 60 yards. Lots of useful technical details. What will they think of next? Airgun USA, also known as Ted's Holdover, is probably the most watched airgun channel on YouTube. In this film, he gets to go shooting in concrete silos that are no longer used by an American farmer, so he is A-OK with Ted adding holes to the roof. And going further afield, thanks to viewer Kiwi Shoot from South Island, New Zealand for sending in this one. It's a wild rabbit cull on a 15,000-acre farm. Farmer gives Kiwi Shoot permission to go anywhere he likes, as long as he closes the gates. Here he is using a 223 round because, as he says, a body shot will also kill it instantly due to the shock. How right he is. You can click on any of these films to watch them. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, send it in via YouTube or email me the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. Well, we're back next week when we will be here in Namibia with Zeiss, the fabulous sports optic companies, Blaser, the brilliant rifle maker, and Norma, the most superb ammunition. Now, if you want to subscribe to our show, you can click on the button that appears somewhere around the outside of the screen there, or we are indeed a YouTube show these days. Go to www.youtube.com/show/Fieldsports Or you can go to our website. We have one, fieldsportschannel.tv. Scroll down to the bottom, there's a box there, pop your email address into there, or click to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. This has been Fieldsports Britain.